Hey everyone, Jun with the Sushi Man here, and in this video I'll teach you how to make teriyaki and unagi sauce. And it's actually one recipe that can be used for both. Super simple and only has 4 main ingredients, 5 including an optional one. And that 5th one is what I like to call my kakushiaji, which translates to hidden taste or secret ingredient basically. I know a lot of you have been asking for this, so here it is. Hope you enjoy it. And if you like the content on my channel, you'll love my book even more. It's called How to Make Sushi at Home, a fundamental guide for beginners and beyond. It has recipes like this, plus much more. And whether you're a professional chef in training or a DIYer that wants to start making sushi at home, this book is for you. I'll leave links in the description below for those that are interested. Alright, let's do this. Alright, so before we start, I want to go over a little bit about what is teriyaki and what is unagi sauce. Teriyaki is a Japanese word that's derived from 2 words, teri, which refers to a gloss or luster, and yaki, which means to grill or broil. It basically represents that shiny glaze that the sauce gives after it's been cooked with it. And that's why you can have all different types of teriyaki, whether it's chicken, salmon, or a burger. It's all teriyaki as long as the sauce is used when cooking it. So what is unagi sauce then? It's quite simple. It's the sauce used when grilling unagi, which is freshwater eel. It's called unagi no tare, and it's basically a teriyaki sauce. It has all the same base ingredient. Now, of course, there's a bunch of different variations and recipes, but the fundamental and traditional ingredients are the same. And that's why I keep this very simple and use the same recipe for both. But yeah, that's a little background of the 2 sauces. Alright, now let's go over the supplies and tools. We're not going to have much since we're basically just mixing these ingredients together over a stove. But the first thing we need is a small pot or saucepan. And a spout might come in handy depending on the type of container you're putting the sauce in. And of course, make sure the pot is big enough for however much sauce you're making. Next, we have a small whisk. I love this one and I use it a ton when making sauces. You can also just use a regular spoon, basically just something to mix all the ingredients with. Alright, following that we have a measuring spoon, a tablespoon to be exact. And we'll also need a measuring cup as well, or something that can measure half a cup. Now I have all these measured out already, but you'll probably want to measure as you go and put it directly into the pot. And next we'll need a container of some sort. I like to use a squeeze bottle because when I use the sauce as unagi sauce, a lot of times it's for rolls. So the bottle makes it easier to drizzle it on top. Usually for like unagi rolls, caterpillar rolls, or tempura rolls, whatever it is. And it's best if you have a bottle with a cap like this, which keeps it airtight. Same bottle as the one I used in the spicy mayo video. And I think I got this at a local Asian market for like $3, but I'm sure Amazon sells something similar. You can also use a mason jar or some type of container that you can seal the lid. But yeah, this bottle works well for me. And then of course, depending on what type of container you're putting it in, a funnel will probably come in handy. Put it in, pour the sauce in there, pretty straightforward. Okay, that's it for the supplies and tools. Let's move on to the ingredients. Now again, this is a very simple recipe and it's going to have those 4 main ingredients. That 5th one is optional. The first one we're going to go through is just regular sugar, white table sugar, and this is about 6 tablespoons, which is a little over 1/3 of a cup. Next, we have 2 tablespoons of Nihonshu, better known as Japanese sake. So I'm planning on making an entire video about sake where I'll go over all the basics and different types, but this one that I'm using right here is really made for cooking. And it should be very affordable. This bottle here is going to cost you around $6 to $7. And I do not recommend drinking this because it's not meant for it. Again, it's better to use this for cooking. So don't go out and buy a $30, $50, $100 bottle to use in any Japanese cooking. Instead, look for something like this. Shochikubai is a very good brand and very well known. Some other ones you'll probably see is Gekkeikan or Ozeki. And you should be able to find it at regular liquor stores or some grocery stores might carry it as well. But again, $6, $7 for this, save the expensive stuff for drinking. Next we have some mirin, and this is half a cup. Mirin is Japanese sweet rice wine, very similar to sake, but it's much sweeter and has less alcohol. Now obviously you don't have to get a ginormous bottle like this, you should be able to find smaller bottles. Kikkoman is a very good and obviously famous brand, but there's a bunch of other brands that you should be able to find as well. And if you like Japanese cooking, I highly recommend having a bottle of this in your pantry. We use it for so many dishes because not only does it add umami and sweetness, but it helps get that glaze or luster we're looking for, which is especially important when it comes to teriyaki sauce. And next we have a half cup of shoyu or soy sauce. The type of soy sauce I use is Kikkoman. Again, you don't need a huge one like this, and I like to use low sodium. Kikkoman has been my go-to forever and is probably the most well-known soy sauce brand out there, but you're free to use whatever brand you like. I do recommend using Japanese soy sauce though, since the flavor profile can change quite a bit if you don't. You can't really go wrong with this one. And lastly, for my kakushiaji or secret ingredient, which is optional, is chicken stock, 2 tablespoons of it. And I use the organic chicken stock from Costco. It's good stuff and I use it for a lot of cooking, especially when I'm making soups or simmering things. Now this is not a traditional ingredient, but it adds more flavor and it gives it more depth. Because when you think about how a more intricate teriyaki sauce is made, a lot of times you put chicken bones, vegetables, all these other things and simmer it for a very long time. This is a way to kind of mimic that, but keeping it super simple for home cooking. Alright, that's it for the ingredients. Now let's get into the actual process. First, what we're going to do is put these 4 ingredients, everything except the soy sauce, into the pot. And if you're following along and measuring as you go, it probably makes sense to put the dry ingredient first, so you don't have to keep washing the spoon. So first we're going to put the sugar in there. Again, this is 6 tablespoons. Next, the 2 tablespoons of sake. After that, we have the chicken stock, 2 tablespoons of it as well. And then we have the mirin, this is a half cup. Now we turn the stove on to medium heat, and then mix it all together till the sugar dissolves. And you want to start mixing immediately so that the sugar doesn't burn on the bottom. Keep stirring until the sugar is fully dissolved. It should only take about a minute or so. Alright, I don't know if you can see here, but the sugar has pretty much fully dissolved. You can tell that it's gotten a lot clearer and more translucent. So now we put in our half cup of soy sauce and wait till it starts to boil. And I like to give it a little stir here again, just in case there's some sugar left over. And you'll start to see the bubbling around the edges, which means we're pretty close. Now once it starts to fully boil, turn the heat down to low and we're going to let this simmer for about 15 minutes. And you want to make sure it's a slight simmer, not a boil. We don't want any of this to burn. Alright, after the 15 minutes, we're going to let this cool down to room temperature. Now you can just leave it in the pot to cool, but it will take longer since the pot retains the heat. So I like to transfer this into a heat-safe container such as this measuring cup, and then I'll let it sit for a bit. And while I leave that there, I'm going to clean this all up real quick. And boom, wish it was that quick in real life. Okay, so this is still pretty hot to put in my plastic squeeze bottle, so I'm just going to toss it in the fridge for a bit to speed up the process. Alright, it's cooled down, not fully, but enough to transfer it into the bottle. You can use a funnel here if you need, but since mine's in a measuring cup with a spout, I should be fine. And it's still pretty thin as you can tell, but don't worry, as it fully cools down it will become much thicker. So here's how it looks when it has cooled down fully. Not sure if you can tell, but see how it runs off the spoon and it kinda stays on there? This is more the typical teriyaki sauce consistency. So again, you can use this for teriyaki or unagi sauce. But if you plan to only use it as unagi sauce, then there is one other optional ingredient you can put in there, which is hondashi. Hondashi is a Japanese dashi powder made from dried bonito, and you just mix in about a quarter teaspoon in here. Now I know some people don't like to use dashi powders. It does add a little more umami and a slight fishy flavor, but guess that's not the best way to describe it, but you know what I mean. But again, you can use this just as is and it's totally fine. Anyways, back to the sauce. Now obviously my channel is based around sushi, but let me know in the comments below if you guys want me to create some videos on how to cook with this sauce. Some things outside of sushi like teriyaki chicken, salmon, or hamachi, anything else. I use this for a ton of different things. And now that you know how to make this sweet teriyaki / unagi sauce, check out my spicy mayo video and combine the two. The sweet, savory, and spicy go so well together and you can pretty much top it on any type of sushi. Try it for yourself, you won't be disappointed. Alright, that's it for now. As always, thanks for watching and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you on the next one. Arigatou gozaimasu.